Hello, I'm Dr. Ron England, and this is Python from the Beginning, Programming for Engineers, second video. And if you watched the first video, it's pretty simple stuff. What I'm going to do now, this second video is really going to deal with a simple conditional, the if statement. And what we'll do here, I'm going to put a comment here because I'm using the same code that I had before. I'm going to comment that I'm going to write a program to determine letter grade from number grade. I'm just putting this comment in here just because to point out that it's actually very important to go ahead and comment your code. So what I want to do in this case is I'm going to write a function that I pass it, because you saw functions before. I'm going to pass it a score, and it's going to return the letter grade. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the def keyword, and the name of the function will be letter grade, and we're going to pass it the score. Oops, score. And then I put the colon, and it's going to jump to the next line. And now you're going to learn the new stuff. Now remember what we just meant about functions. I can call these functions. This is something that's reusable. So what we'll do is we'll say if score is greater than 90, and now we can do something here. We can return the, we can go ahead and return A. Now, I'm going to do one thing here. I'm going to go back one, and I'm going to say else, and then I'm going to return F. And you're probably not going to want to just say A. If it's over 90, it's an A, and if it's less than that, it's an F. But just for demonstration purposes, this is what we want to do. All right, so now I can take that, and the first thing you can do is you put it here and put a Control Enter, and it should put it into Python. So now I can call it, and I can say print letter grade. Oops, got to have the capitals, got to have it right. Letter grade, and let's say they made a 95. And I can take that, and now if I hit Control Enter, it's going to return back an A. And if I go back in here and I do it, let's say 75, it's going to return an F. Well, obviously, we don't really want, I mean, we would like to have better granularity of our grades, but we can do that. So we can go back up here, and now I can say instead of else, I can do elif score is greater than 80. And in that case, we'll say it's a B. And this should work because if it's a 90, then it's going to return the A and it's going to jump out of the function. It'll be over, it'll be done from the function. So now I can take this entire piece right here and I can simply put the grades that I want in. I can copy and paste. And I can say 70, C, 60, D, and then I can do else, which would be the final condition, return F. And now, of course, now that I've written this, I'm going to have to do all the different I got to go ahead and put it into memory, so I got to Control Enter that again, and it went in just fine. And now I can come back down here with where I'm going to actually print out my letter grades, and I would say, and remember, this is returning. So what's happening here is the print is a function, and inside the print function, I'm calling the letter grade function that I wrote. So it's printing what the letter grade function returns based on the number. But if I do this with the 75, now now it shows a C. If I say it's a 95, and you always want to test your code. If you do 95, it returns the A, and if you do it with, let's say, something that's probably going to be failing here, like a 55, then Control Enter, and that returns an F. And actually, if you test it for all the different scores, you're going to find that it does that. So very simple, the basic conditional, if, else, and elif. And also building on top of the ability that we know how to actually create a function here and call the function. So far in this, you've done a simple math expression, you've assigned variables, you've created a function, and you've used conditionals inside of a function. So right now you've got a tremendous amount of power, and this really shouldn't be rocket science to anybody here. The stuff that we're doing is pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of the concept of syntax. So in this case, the syntax is def defines the function, Letter grade is the name of the function. Score is the arguments to the function, what gets passed to it. And then you have a conditional if, which then has to look at the condition itself. And then in this case, it returns. It does something, but in this case, it returns a letter, A. In the case of elif, if it's greater than 90, it's going to return the A. Else, if it checks if it's greater than 80, it returns the B. And you can see, again, don't overthink this. It really is that easy. Just go with it. And you might have some issues when you're trying to work the syntax, and syntax is important because it's oftentimes you forget the colon, or or the biggest problem that you run into is the spacing. Everything that's indented belongs to the def of the function. Everything that's indented after the if belongs to what happens if that if condition is true. So those are all things to look for, but outside of that syntax, it shouldn't throw anybody for a loop. Pretty straightforward. That was lecture 2. A little shorter, but we're going to move on very quickly with the next things, which are going to be loops, because loops are important. Good programming. Have fun.